So I recently got a thickness planer for Christmas, but I didn't really have a spot to put it in the shop. So I took out some of the drawers in that back cabinet that weren't being utilized, and I took it apart, which gave me a spot to put the planer, and it also gave me a lot of pine to use. So I decided to make a bird feeder out of it. So planing them down, just to get them flat. I wasn't really going for a certain thickness. And I'll make some layout lines, and then I'll take it to the chop saw and cut it down to length. Here's just some more layout lines. This is a dado for the bottom piece, and I'm just measuring the length for the side pieces, and I'll use the chop saw again to cut it to length. And setting up the table saw to make a few cuts on the bottom pieces. This would be a lot easier if I had a dado stack, but I don't have one, so I'm just taking multiple passes with my standard table saw blade. Next, for the bottom piece, I put a straight bit in my router table, and I cut the dados for the bottom pieces. And excuse the bad camera angle. Next, I'll put in my vise just to clean up the table saw marks for the file. Now doing some sanding to remove the layout lines. It would be a lot harder to do this after it's all glued up, so I'm doing it now. And now just gluing in the pieces that I cut. While that all dries, I can work on the sides, and I'm using the table saw to make a shallow cut to fit the plexiglass. I'm using my miter gauge and a stop block to cut the angles for the roof, and I didn't really plan for a specific angle. I just kind of drew out the layout lines and found that angle and cut it out. I'm cutting the slats for the roof, and off camera I put a rabbit on one of the ends just as a decorative piece, and you'll see how that all goes together in a later shot. Now that the parts for the roof are drying, I can put on the sides to the bottom piece, and I'm using small pin nails to hold the wood while the glue dries. Here I'm just measuring out the height, then I'll take it to the table saw, cut it out, make some layout lines, and drill the holes for the dowel on the drill press. I kind of just eyeballed the position and the depth of these because I didn't really have to have them too accurate. I'm only gluing on one side piece for now, just to get the alignment of the dowel right. Now as that's drying, I could work on the roof. I cut some of it down to the rough length, set up a stop block, and cut the pieces out. Next, I'm putting a slight angle on the bottom pieces of the roof so they sit a little more flush. By the time I finished all this, the glue set up enough to put on the dowel on the other side. After that's dry, I take the clamps off and put in 2 screws for the string that I will hang it with. Since I made the dados go all the way through the side pieces, the plexiglass bottoms out. So I'm adding these little thin pieces of wood and holding it in with CA glue. And you can start to see how it's all going to come together. Gluing on the roof was a little tricky because I didn't have a clamp to hold it in place while it dried. So I'm pre-drilling and driving some nails in halfway, and then I'll take the heads off with a pair of pliers. Then I take the piece of the roof, align it, and press it onto the nails so it makes a mark in the back of it. Then using the same bit, I pre-drill where the divots are made so the nails will slide into those holes too. The nails don't really add any strength to the joint, it just helps me align the pieces and helps it from not sliding around while it draws. And then I flip it over and do the same thing for the other side. And this worked really well too. Next, on the table saw, I cut the top piece, and I wasn't really going for an angle, I just kind of eyeballed it. And then I drilled the holes for the string to go through, and then just sanding it. Now I'm just spraying on a few coats of spray lacquer, and then I'll set it to dry overnight. I'm really excited at how it turned out, and I hope you guys liked it. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe.